I was just trying to film a video about the forearms and false grip, and I just found out that I actually lost the ability to do a slow motion muscle up. So I'm gonna be working on that until I can get it again, so I can actually reshoot that video. But hey, setbacks happen, guys. So things happen, you know. You just gotta kind of adapt and evolve, and yeah. So I'll be prioritizing that. But today I'm gonna be going to the middle split because I need that for another video potentially after this one. So follow along, and yeah, we'll get to our middle splits. All right, so to get to my middle split, actually I'll just show you where I'm at when I'm cold and stiff. So to give you an idea, I filmed a couple of videos, but I didn't do any middle split work. This is where I'm at with my middle split right now. I'm literally a full foot off the ground, and it feels very uncomfortable, and it's very stiff. But we'll see after a warm-up and after a few stretches how it feels, but yeah. So typically what I do to start a warm-up is I'll do these Cossack switches here, and it basically just lengthens the muscle, and it puts it under tension at the same time so that you get some blood flowing in there, and you also feel that stretch at the same time. And I basically just go until I don't want to anymore. It's almost like being a bodybuilder and you're kind of chasing a pump a little bit. Oh, that's probably about good for now. And one thing that people don't realize with their splits is it's not just about your adductors. All of the surrounding muscles contribute. So I typically spend actually quite a bit of time working on the hip flexors as well. And you'll also notice that everything I'm doing right now is dynamic, meaning it's moving, and it's active, meaning my muscles are flexing. And it's because that's my favorite and probably the best way to warm up for just about any sort of stretch. And you really do want to prioritize warming up when you're doing this sort of thing. My one injury that I've gotten attempting to do the middle splits was done without a warm-up, and I just forced myself down as far as I could, and I felt a twinge really close up into my hip flexor area and also in my hamstring, and it was hard to walk after that. And then it took about 6 months before I could even start training my splits again. So I don't want that to happen to you. So definitely prioritize warming up. But I'm gonna go move on to the hamstrings now. For this warm up, I do elephant walks. When you do this exercise, typically you'll feel it even in your calves. And it's not because your calves are tight, although your calves might be tight. Typically the issue is your nerves. Your nerves, they come from your lower back, they shoot all the way down your leg and all the way to the bottoms of your feet to your toes. So if you feel tingles all the way down and through, it's because it's your nerves. You're putting tension on your nerves. And your nerves are a big reason why you get these blocks in your flexibility. So by putting tension on them, you're basically signaling to your nervous system that, hey, it's okay, you can calm down and you can sink a little bit further into that stretch. So don't shy away when you feel those tingles. Definitely dive into that, I would say. Now I'm gonna move on to a couple more static type stretches. This one you would know is the pigeon, but I'm prioritizing my on the opposite side, my glutes, right over here. It's their external rotator. For the middle splits, you really need to externally rotate your hips. So you don't want it to go straight out to the side, you want to externally rotate it. And the reason why is this hip right here, you can think of it as a line, and it has a ball that sits in the socket there. If you were to go straight out with your leg out to the side, and it's in your hip socket, it would go up to here, and that part of the bone would just smack onto your hip, and you don't want to do that. So when you externally rotate, you don't have that problem. You can go all the way out. So that's what that pigeon exercise does. It externally rotates your hip and puts that stretch in that area where you need it. So that's why I do these type of stretches when I'm warming up for my splits, at least my middle splits. It's also not ideal that it's colder than normal today. Typically you want it to be warm. In fact, there are some days where I'll just either hop in a sauna if I have access to one, or I'll take a hot shower, and that'll be my warm up before stretching. Right now I'm stretching my quads, and by leaning back, they're flexing. And by the way, your quads, your middle quad, your rectus femoris it's called, it also crosses your hip joint. So it's also a part of your hip flexors, which is why this stretch is great, but when you lift up your back leg and you try and do it, it feels much more intense. It's because your quad is a part of your hip flexors. All right, well, I feel pretty warmed up, so I'm gonna move on to a little bit more of an intense stretch, and yeah, I'll get right to it. So if you're gonna do this, definitely start at a level that you can do. It's like if you're in a gym and you're bench pressing and your max is 200 pounds, you're not gonna go straight to your max, you're gonna shy off a little bit. So I'm gonna start with a front split, because that's actually gonna help assist me for my middle splits, but you might not be able to get all the way down to the ground or even close to the ground. Hold wherever you can. I'm gonna hold this for close to 30 seconds or so, and I'm backing off of the ground just a little bit. I'm also focusing on keeping my hips facing relatively forward, because I can cheat out and go like this, but that doesn't put the stretch where I want it. So, all right, I'm gonna switch sides. The grass is all wet, so I'm getting all soaked, but hey, adapt, overcome. Oh yeah, left side has always been my bad side split. So for me, this feels much more intense than the other side. By the way, if you have imbalances in flexibility, treat it like a strength training exercise. You should be doing that already, where you do multiple sets, but on your weaker side, do an extra set at the end of your workout. And over the course of many workouts, that balance corrects itself. So that was just one set. I'm gonna do actually 3 of these sets on either side. And in between these sets, when I'm resting, I tend to just kind of move around, and I see this isn't even really a stretch, but you know, when you move around and you keep that blood flowing, it feels much better. All right, I'm gonna go back to that right side split, and I should be able to just go straight down all the way to the ground with no problem, because I'm pretty warm now. Yeah, so I'm gonna hold this for close to 30 seconds or so. I don't stay too strict on the amount of time I hold stretches, but around 30 seconds is where I like to get to. When you're holding these stretches, it's harder to talk because they're actually very, very intense, and they require effort and concentration. So yeah. All right, back to this other side. Remember, this is my stiffer side split, so let's see. Front splits. Yeah, definitely feels stiff today. Sometimes, depending on how I feel, I'll just hold stretches for around 15 seconds or so, and I'll just do more sets. Oh boy. Oh, but sometimes, you know, 20 seconds is a happy medium. Oh, that feels pretty good. I'm gonna kind of get it moving a little bit. I have one more set on each side, and then I'll start doing some stretches that'll help work me toward my middle split. Oh, and by the way, this is being filmed on a brand new gimbal, and we have no idea how to use it. So if the camera starts drifting off, hey, eyes up here, okay? All right, I'm gonna do one more set each side. Here we go. Back to that right side. Okay. Halfway. Oh boy, man, today's a stiff day. It's funny, my perception is probably super warped, because I remember back in the day, you know, a year ago, a stiff day for me was I was, you know, 6 inches off of the ground, but I'm past that hump now, where my flexibility is obviously much greater than it used to be. Now, just imagine if I stayed consistent, how much more flexible I'd be. I'm not actually stretching as consistently as I should be. Here we go. Halfway. All right, there we go. Oh goodness. Man, the wobbly, jello-y feeling you get coming out of the splits when it's a stiffer day is just unmatched. Oh boy. All right. Well, the next step is to start working toward my actual middle splits. So I'm gonna start working a little bit closer to my hip joint. That obviously takes care of my hamstrings and my hip flexors. I'm gonna start working on my adductors and external rotators a little bit more. So I'm gonna do the classic butterfly stretch. I think that's a great way to kind of start easing yourself into a middle split like position. And you know, you'll start probably way out here with your knees up, but eventually your knees will start to go down and your feet will go in a little bit closer. And someday you'll start to notice that you can start getting your chest all the way down. The next best thing to start doing is to not go further and further down. It's to arch your back as much as possible. So instead of rounding forward like this, you're gonna start flattening your back and then pulling down. And you can also make it a bit more of an active stretch by lifting yourself up onto your feet and just sinking down into it. And you can also add a slight little bounce to get a little bit deeper in that stretch. And I like to focus on my breathing. The deeper you breathe, the better you can relax. And the better you can relax, typically the deeper you'll sink into that stretch, because it becomes less about your nervous system stopping you and more about your muscles resisting. And if you can get those muscles to relax, then you'll be able to sink in a little bit deeper. That feels really good, actually. All right. I think the single best stretch that you can do to work on your middle split is your pancake. And the reason why is because your pancake is essentially a middle split. It's just done at a slightly different position. So instead of standing up or arching your back a little bit, you're just on the floor. So you don't have to focus on spreading too wide, but the goal is just to sink down toward the ground. And like I said, today's a stiff day, so I'm gonna do this for reps, and I'm gonna keep going until I can get, I don't know, maybe I can get my chest down to the ground today, and I'll sink further deeper into it. It helps when you have a target though. Like you can get your elbow to the ground, or you can stack your fists up and touch your chin toward the ground. It starts to feel a little bit looser. Chest is getting a little bit closer to the ground. It's touching the grass. I'm gonna hold this one a little bit more. I'm gonna try and relax into it a bit. I can definitely feel my hips are resisting today. Oh boy, and it definitely doesn't feel muscular. So some days you'll feel that your hip joint itself, it just feels extra stiff, and that makes sense because I've done quite a bit of middle split-like activity in the past few weeks, and I've actually hit the middle split several times, and it takes a while to recover from that. So even though it's bad for YouTube to not, you know, clickbait and show a middle split, I'm probably not gonna get to my middle split today, but I'm gonna get as close as I can to it. So I'm gonna do a bit of an active stretch now. So that pancake that you saw me doing on the ground, I'm gonna do that same thing, but instead I'm actually gonna be elevated off of the ground. So it's called a standing pancake because you're standing. So you go to a pancake-like position, and then you stick your butt out behind you, and you hold. That was around 10 seconds. Oh, I'm gonna rest for a little bit, and I'm gonna try and go a little bit deeper. I probably won't be able to get 10 seconds, but maybe I can get close. And then I'm gonna put my hands on the ground to actually assist myself, and I should be able to get at least 10 seconds, if not longer, on this standing pancake. But ideally you would hit, you know, 30 seconds or so. All right, here we go. Sink a little bit deeper into this. Oh, already hands assisting, that's okay. Squeezing the ground. Oh, that's all I got for now. Oh my goodness. Oh, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort. Whew. Man, today is not a middle split day, I'm thinking, but that's okay. We're gonna get close. Now, I remember at the beginning of the video, I was probably around 12 inches or so off the floor, probably about a foot or so. So I'm just gonna do a test right now, see how low I can go on a passive middle split, and we'll see how much I've improved. Yeah, so we're much closer. Not quite there. That's okay. Looks to be about 5 or 6 inches or so. Oh, that was actually a really good stretch. But I'm feeling it too much in my hip joint, so I'm actually gonna move on. And that's actually a good lesson to learn. When you feel something funky going on, don't push it, don't force it. But you know what? My front splits felt really good, so maybe I should just focus on that. I think that is what I'll do. But I'm gonna see, I've never done over splits before, but I'm gonna see if I can find something to help train me in my over splits. So let's go find something real quick. All right, so I literally walked, I don't know, 30 feet, not even that far. So I'm still really warm, but this is a significant lift off of the ground. I'm gonna see what it looks like when I stick my leg up on this and do a front split. But before I do that, I'm gonna try something obviously much more manageable, which is this little ledge right here which I don't know, 3 to 4 inches, something like that. But this is all dirt, so prepare to get dirty, I guess, right? So let's see what I can do here. Keep in mind, I've never actually done a front split before. Sorry, a over split before, so. Oh, that is so intense. Oh, I can actually touch down, that's crazy. Oh, it's not painful, but it's very, very intense. Oh, that is not a stretch I would be able to hold for longer than, I don't know, 5 seconds or so. But that was my good side. See, I'm getting all dirty. So let's see what my bad side looks like. And maybe we'll find out if my bad side is my bad side or not, because maybe it's not. All right, here we go. Oh boy, yeah, it feels tight. Oh, I can get a touchdown. Oh. It's funny, this side feels much tighter, but the other side felt more tension in the nerves itself. It felt more tingly, if you will. This side felt, oh my goodness, much less tingly, but much more muscularly intense. So yeah, I've never done that before. I think I'm gonna start incorporating that. So that was one set of, I don't know, between 3 to 5 taps on each side. I did more taps on my left side than my right side. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for 10 reps on each side, and a rep for me is just gonna be a touchdown of my glute tapping the floor, and I'll count that as a rep, and I'll go for 10, and we'll see how it feels after that. I'll do it on the other side, and then since we're crazy, we're gonna try it up on this. Obviously I won't be able to touch down, but hey, it's something to aspire to, right? It's good to have things to aspire to. Okay, back to the right side. Oh, it feels tighter the second time, not gonna lie. Oh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, halfway, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's 10. Oh my goodness. Oh, you might be tempted to jump straight into the other side after doing something intense like that, but sometimes you need a rest, even just in between sides, even if it's only for a couple seconds or so. Because even though you're stretching different sides and different muscles, it's all the same nervous system. It's like, imagine maxing out a one-leg deadlift and then going, oh, okay, I'll just do the same weight on the other side and I'm not gonna rest. Like, that would be crazy. You do a one-leg deadlift on the other side. Yeah, that's kind of unreasonable. So it's better to rest at least a little bit in between. All right, left side, 10 reps, here we go. Oh man, it always feels tighter the second time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Oh, that feels absolutely ludicrous. That feels crazy. I don't think I've ever actually worked my front splits that hard. It's funny because by mostly focusing on other exercises, like hamstring exercises or anything else really, you kind of get that skill by default, the front split. And it's just because I do a lot of front hip flexor work, so I do a lot of that stretching right here, and I do a lot of the stretching there. And the front split is just combining the two, so yeah. All right, well, nothing left to do but to try it. It's kind of funny though, when you do this kind of thing, it kind of removes those barriers because you don't know what to expect. And oftentimes you perform a little bit better than you thought you would. So let's see how it works out. Oh, I got dirt and mud all over my knees. Get my watch out of the way. All right. All right. Here we go. Yeah, that's all I got. I can't even go any deeper than that. Oh boy! I almost fell. I don't even know if that was deeper or less deep than the other little ledge. It was easier on the other little ledge because, you know, I had something to go for. I had a focal point, which was touching my glute to the ground. So, all right, let's do the other side here. Oh gosh, I'm covered in dirt. Next time I'll have to pick a less dirty location. Oh! Oh! Yeah, I think I'm tapped out, honestly. It was a bummer I couldn't get to my middle splits, but hey, you know, that's what it's like in the game of flexibility. When you feel those little twinges, those little things pop up, you don't want to, you know, force your way through and jam your way through it, because that's how injuries happen. So even as the flexy guy, I'm supposed to be the guy who can, you know, just drop into the splits at any moment's notice, but I've been dropping into the splits at any moment's notice far too often in the past month or two. So that's what happens. You gotta prioritize recovery when that happens. So I kind of want to try that muscle up one more time, and then this video's over. So let's go. Here we are, back where it all started. I'm gonna try this muscle up again. Probably not gonna be able to get it, but that's okay. I'm gonna try it. So from a false grip, I should be able to get nice and high. Yep, that's all I got. I'll have to focus on that for the next couple weeks here and see what we can do. So stay flexy, I guess.